think many of you are just like new for this class. So first one is foods in the mode of goodness, foods in the mode of passion, and foods in the mode of ignorance. And these modes, so mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. These three are actually the states of mind. So foods are also classified on this in the same three categories, because according to Vedic civilization, food has a very intrinsic impact on the status of the mind. So these three are the statuses of the mind, and in the same way foods are also classified on the same thing, because foods ultimately what we eat, that's what we become. So if we eat foods in the mode of goodness, we'll be in the goodness mode. If we eat foods in the mode of passion, we'll become passionate, and same thing with ignorance also. So with this mode of goodness, are you clear, or do you need some explanation of what each mode is exactly? Mode of goodness, they are conditioned by a state of happiness, knowledge. So they are always blissful. So when we are in this mode, we will try to search for happiness, and we'll try to search for knowledge, right? In the same way, mode of passion, so it is characterized by uncontrollable desires. And mode of ignorance, it's nothing but laziness. Laziness, moroseness. So all of us will have different proportions of these three modes. So we all go through these stages. Like at sometimes we'll be happy, we'll be searching for knowledge. Sometimes we'll be having these uncontrollable desires. Desires. So what's the problem with desires? So the desires, when they are not fulfilled, they lead to frustration, and they lead to dissatisfaction. So that's a problem with mode of passion. And mode of ignorance, laziness, and moroseness. So depending on the foods we take, and depending on how we identify ourselves with the surroundings, we have these three different kinds of modes. So foods also same. Foods in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Foods in the mode of goodness, we have examples, like they are characterized by they are wholesome, juicy, and they are pleasing to heart. So any guess what foods can come into this category? Like these are the characteristics: juicy, pleasing to the heart, and they're wholesome.
Fruit.
Yep, correct. So we have fruits, vegetables, rice, wheat, sugar, and milk. So they are the foods in the mode of goodness. Ultimately, when we eat these foods, we'll be going to the mode of goodness. Okay, foods in the mode of passion. So their characteristic feature is hot. So they're filled with like spicy. And they're too pungent. Right. Okay, mode of ignorance. They have decomposed their food, like decomposed food, putrid, which is consisting of like untouchable things. Foods in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Those are the characteristics. Okay, so what's the problem with these spicy and pungent foods? When we eat them, we will get like distress and disease. So these things, when we eat them, we kind of get into laziness, moroseness, and sleep. And also another important feature of these ignorant foods is foods which are prepared more than 3 hours before eating. So they also come into ignorance food. So Vedic terms for these three are tamasic food, rajasic food, and sattvic food.
It's the other way around.
Sorry. Thank you. Sattvic food, Rajasic food, and Tamasic food. Sorry, it's like confusing. Okay.
I think you're checking our concentration, right?
Could you write those down in that like did you say tamasic?
Right, so this is Tamasic.
Tamasic?
Next comes is Rajasic and Sattvic. Right, so we are clear with those three things. So, and like we have, are you clear with what kind of food comes into each category also? So now, which one will we prefer, and which one do we need to prefer according to the Vedic civilization? Obviously, goodness, right? Sattvic food. So why we have to go into Sattvic food? We'll see. So any food we eat, it has basically three purposes. Purpose of eating food. First one is increasing duration of life. And second one is increasing strength of the body. And third one is purification of mind. So we had this sattvic food, right? So increasing duration of life. How would the duration of life will be increased? So the more foods in the mode of goodness, they are characterized by whole, juicy, and like the foods which will be pleasing to the heart, like whole grains, rice, wheat, milk, fruits, and vegetables. So obviously, when we eat them, we ourselves internally we feel so satisfied and we feel so peaceful and calm, right? So that's how they increase the duration of life. And second one, so they're like they always all the sattvic foods in the mode of goodness, they have all the ingredients, macroingredients, proteins, vitamins, whatnot, everything. They have everything. So they also increase the strength of the body. And purification of mind. So how they increase the purification of mind? Because apart from the ingredients, like we talked in the beginning of this this lecture, this food also has a spirit. Apart from their physical characteristic, they also carry certain spirit. So how does that spirit comes? One of the important thing is the consciousness of the person who's preparing it. So this is the sublime fact of all the Vedic tradition. It says like whoever is preparing whatever mind and whatever the mindset he has, that goes into the food. So when we eat that, same kind of thing we also get. So the purification of mind. So when we eat the food which is prepared like with pure love and with absolute peace of mind and calm mind, so same thing we get, and that's how we get purification of mind. Okay. Any questions?
I was wondering about, like, you were talking about the middle one, hot, spicy, pungent. What about like peppers, like chili, that sort of thing?
Chili is good in one way because it increases the basal metabolic rate of the body and it will stop, it will keep us accumulating fat, but only up to a certain extent.
Okay.
It's not supposed to be hot. So up to a certain extent we can definitely use, but like food which is too much, which has too much of peppers, hot and all, that's not recommended.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you include foods that are real cold as far as temperature wise and real hot as far as temperature wise? Is that considered passion too, or?
Actually, foods which are too cold, they'll come into the mode of ignorance. Tamasic food. Like we were talking about foods which are prepared more than 3 hours before eating, they comes into mode of ignorance. Tamasic food. So the purpose basically here is when we cook and when we eat within before 3 hours, they'll be at the room temperature. If not, it will not be colder than room temperature, right? So, but of course, foods too cold, they definitely come into mode of ignorance.
What did you say chilies increase
Basal metabolic rate,
Okay.
BMR.
Which does what?
Which does when our basal metabolic rate is increased, we don't accumulate fat too much.
Thank you.
So whatever we are taking, all the calories, everything will be burned right away, and we don't accumulate fat. Any other questions? Reflections? Comments?
So there's really no, in the tamasic, there's really no fresh food then?
Exactly, no fresh food.
Okay, that's,
It has remnants and decomposed food, putrid.
I guess it includes all meats at all, right?
Exactly, you got it.
Like oysters would be fresh, right?
Right. Vegetables and fruits, they're always
Still
fresh.
ignorance.
oh, even fresh meat is not,
Yes, I mean, essentially, we don't feel like touching the meat, right?
okay. I also had a question about the passion, the mode of passion. When I also think of passion, I think of something that you really, like maybe there's something that you're passionate about, a subject or whatever. But this is a different.
This is totally different.
Use of
Passion, yeah. So when we're talking about passion here, we're talking about uncontrollable desires.
Okay.
Like that passion you're so craving, that is different. Like here,
Okay.
it just desires keep coming one after the other, one after the other.
Okay.
And ultimately, when you get also, it leads to another desire. You don't feel satisfied, you don't feel happy. So that's the passion you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay. So now we'll.